Get ready to hear some real racist jokes from a guy who truly believes them and hopes J.D. Vance is watching. Guys, Tony Hinchcliffe. Make some noise for Tony.
Pause. I will say, like, oh, that's funny as fuck.
That's funny as fuck.
Because some of it is couch in truth. And you know he does hope J.D. Vance is watching.
Yes.
Tony Hinchcliffe might be the comedian who sucked up to the admin the most. So that's just funny as fuck.
100%.
Shout out to Shane for at least.
A lot of people were talking about what had happened during the Kevin Hart roast.
He got into a fist fight on a private plane, proof that no matter how much money black people have, they're still just gonna act like ninjas. This fight. You've done good though, Kevin. The black community is so proud of you right now. George Floyd is looking up at us all, laughing so hard that he can't breathe. God bless you, Kevin.
But we understand the tone. So then Kevin Hart, there's all this outrage, and he goes on the Breakfast Club after the fact, and he talks about it. So
the George Floyd joke, it wasn't a tasteful joke to our culture, to our audience, but our audience that's watching the roast, if you're watching the roast, you get why they're doing it. You get why the racial humor is on the table. I wasn't shocked. It happens every year when they do a roast. It's not new. It's not a new agenda. It's not a new approach to comedy.
Do you feel like Tony Hinchcliffe went too far when he made that joke about George Floyd?
It's Tony Hinchcliffe.
Yeah.
I don't expect less. I don't expect more. Pete had a great set too. Pete had a Charlie Kirk joke in there.
Yeah.
Like, would I tell those jokes? No. But do I get why they're being told? Mm-hmm. Yes. Like, I'm not looking at Pete crazy. It doesn't have to be that. It literally is either you're a fan of this level of content or you're not. Remove me from it. I didn't say it. If you are upset that the night went on, that's a different conversation. It's nothing I can do. It's a production. If I go to a nightclub and 2 people get killed that night at the nightclub, what's the headline?
Kevin Hart's party got shot.
Shot up. 2 people
got
died
killed at
at Kevin Hart's party. People may say, I'm never going to Kevin Hart's party again. I ain't fucking with Kev. You heard what happened. I go, but I didn't fucking do it. That's the nature of being the name.
okay, I don't know. The more he talks, I think the worse he makes the whole thing. Like that last part even makes any sense.
I thought the last part, that example was like, janky.
So it doesn't even make any sense. If you're hosting a party and it gets shots up, and if it happens regularly, then yeah, I think it makes sense people want to stay away. That's not comparable to you running your own production and then having control. And I'm not even saying you should yank somebody off the stage. It's not that. It's just like, comparison made no sense. And I think Kevin was doing a decent job of explaining his perspective beforehand. So I just thought that last part.
I was part of a roast here. Mm-hmm. Here in Quebec, I was part of a roast. That's me on stage, right? And Quebec was not ready. Quebec was not ready for that because every time there was a roast, the crowd would go, oh. But that's Quebec, the province. They don't like confrontation, right? I came to realize that I don't like roasts. I don't like roasts. I don't like participating in roasting someone. Because after that, I did roast one of my best friends. Didn't like the experience, right? Watching them roast, I can take that. I understand what a roast is. And I feel like those people do not understand what the purpose of a roast is and what a roast is. I said it a couple of times here in this on this channel. Comedy, especially roast, is exactly like your drunk uncle at Christmas. It's funny until it touches you, right? It's the same thing with what happened with that roast. Y'all were kikiing with every other jokes, other crazy ass jokes until it was a joke that was like, oh, too far. I don't like to go on roast because I know if you do something like you roast me, I will take it too far. And y'all not ready for it in this province. They're not ready for that. So I'd rather not do that. The audience is not ready for that. If you do not like Charlamagne the God said,
I don't like when people joke about violent, tragic death.
Don't watch a roast. The roast is not for you. Roasting with your friends and everything and stuff is actually even different because they know there's a limit. Even though those jokes are abrasive and under the context of what a roast is, that's exactly what a roast is. It's gonna be foul. It's gonna be too far. It's gonna go to the places that you don't want to go, but that is the contract of the transaction of a roast. Roasts are not for you. Take another meal. I got some of my friends that are comedians for a long time. They're like, yeah, I can't do that because I don't know how the level of seriousness is. And that's a fair statement. Oh, you have to do this, you have to do that. No, don't tell me how to do comedy.
I am not gonna sit here and have an issue because of this.
If you target them with slurs and you try to offend and oppress them, especially using language, at some point, they're going to slap you in your face, punch in your mouth, or put a bullet in your forehead. Ask Charlie Kirk.
Again. Think about this. Manipulation.
Now, the reason why I felt comfortable laughing at that was because it was funny as fuck. Period. I'm an equal opportunist, you know what I mean? I don't believe that all this stuff is sacred and you can't joke about it, but I'm certainly not going to sit here and because somebody's making racial jokes that I'm going to turn around and act like that's unacceptable when I will laugh like crazy at a Charlie Kirk joke, okay? I'm fair. I don't like Tony Hinchcliffe, never have, but it doesn't matter. That's not part of this discussion, really.
No.
Okay? So for me, watching this, I call a spade a spade. He was clearly doing jokes. You may not like the tone. You may hate it. That's super fair. It's like when people do dark humor and they have these crazy jokes about diddling kids or whatever it is. It's not for me. It ain't. And sometimes this shit gets in public. And I'm saying this is not for every audience, and I can understand. But that's what it is. The same way Preach said, that's a roast. Fine. I'm going to play devil's advocate for just a little bit because I do think there's a part of this equation that's different, and it's this. Comedians have made themselves political.
Yes.
It's not just jokes. They have signed on to campaigns. They have gone on public platforms. They have done these sets in front of audiences about specific political issues. So I feel different. I think Tony Hinchcliffe is a racist. That's my personal opinion. Not because he did jokes like that, but mostly because of how he signed on to certain things and how he talks about political issues. The issue for me is not that these comics are up here doing these jokes. I don't give a fuck. I can see that it's clearly jokes. But my problem is, I think you actually are racist. So when Shane Gillis, is that his name? When he's up there and he's saying, oh, from an actual racist, I'm like, yeah, that's what he is. But that's because of everything else. And a lot of these comics have signed themselves on to political platforms, have done propaganda for political apparatuses, and then want to pretend like their jokes are neutral. It's like, no, you made sure it wasn't neutral. That's why these politicians want to go on your platform. That's why they want to sign up with you. So I think a lot of this becomes a bit muddier because comics have made it muddy. Yeah. They want to say it's just jokes, but then they're doing these interviews and kiki and laughing it up and doing PR for these people. It's like, no, something else is happening.
100%. But I think that's like those two things again can coexist, right? Yeah. I think that yes, they are just jokes, and yes, they did make it political. Mm-hmm. But in this context, I'm like, yeah, no, that's not it. When I'll have other evidence of something or something out of the context of a roast, I'll be like, yeah, nah, you're fucked up for this thing. Mm-hmm. But now in the context of what a roast is, a roast is really no holds bar. 100%. It's the valetudo of fighting. Yep. Your daddy dead in the 9/11, I'm gonna talk about him. Shit. Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm ready to hear a bunch of jokes about my dad dying. So stay out of being roasted. That's it. Stay out of being roasted. That's it. Don't even watch it if you're gonna be triggered by that. Yeah, know yourself as well. If you're gonna be, it's not because it's out there for you to watch that you have to watch it. There's a lot of shit out there that is not for me. Mm-hmm. Oh my God, did you see the new Aura? No, I'm not seeing that. I'm not watching that. Why? Nope. Don't want to see it. When you see the guts fall? Nope. You don't want to see human centipedes? No, thank you. It's out there. Mm-hmm. I can watch it. I don't have to because I know where I stand. I'll say something too. People are like, these are just jokes. I can promise you guys, comedians who actually go in these rooms with these guys know which ones are racist and have inklings. And the reason isn't because they do racist jokes. Most of us have done edgy racial jokes about. Sometimes though, you'll listen to certain people and you can just see like, oh, there's a lot of the same shit. Like even a black comic. I saw some black comics who like just did a bunch of white related jokes and it was a lot. And at some point it bleeds into like even your interactions with them off camera, like off stage. Cause then you hear the way that they talk about white folks in general and there's a parallel there with the jokes that they do on stage. I'm not here to say that people who do a racial joke is racist. That's not my point. I'm saying having been around these folks, having actually spent time with them off stage, you see a different side. And then I think when you tackle on top of that, the way that some of them have inserted themselves into politics, I don't think it's that much of a stretch to say that's what I think about that person. There's Magnolia 7675 saying, low-hanging fruits. If you aren't creative enough to construct more clever jokes than the tired racial trope, I'm just not interested. Wasn't funny, especially the jokes about the one ended to you. And if you're not interested, that is the good way to go. You're not interested, don't watch it. Yep. Because you don't find it funny. Yep. It's not because you find it funny that it's necessarily clever. Someone said it was Paul Mooney racist. Yeah.
But just listen to his interviews. He had negative opinions about white people. Yeah.
Paul Mooney's black. We can't be racist.
What? Hold up. You guys know everyday people are racist. You guys don't think comics can be racist? Just because they're comedians and they're doing these jokes on stage does not mean that their real life doesn't reflect some of those values. I don't know. Sometimes people pretend like this art is super dissociated. Like there's just a weird thing that the way people talk about comedy, they pretend like comedians, when they do these jokes, it's a complete separation from their personal opinions and their perspectives on life. And I can assure you, if you spend enough time listening to comics, you're going to see them in those jokes. It's just like listening to someone do music and then pretending like their music isn't a reflection of some aspects of their life at some point or something that they feel.
There's a stage persona, but most of the time that stage persona is a puffed up version of you. The base is still there. The foundation is still somewhere there.
Yeah.
Then after that, you're gonna go somewhere, or you're gonna, in your mind or in your art, you are gonna puff it up. You're gonna make it something that it's not. But most of the time, it's really just, it's you amplified.
Yep.
Bitch is still you. Dissociative, I think it's an extent that's somewhere out there. It's not everybody that I've seen that I've met that are really like that. But I've seen a couple of ones that are.
You guys, you know how I know this take of like, oh, no, there's not a reflection of anything doesn't make sense? I ask a simple question. If comedians are not influential, if comedians don't have some effect on culture in general, why did all these politicians want to go on these podcasts? Why were they trying so hard to pay these guys off to do their propaganda? Why were they constantly having calls with vice presidents and shit like that? Was it just to be like, hey, what's up, buddy? No. There's a reason why they chose those places. Listen, politicians are not going to go around, going on these podcasts to do you a favor. They don't give a fuck about regular people like that. They're going on these things because they have an influence. The reason why they bring you on stage is because they think it can help their PR. So I don't know how you can say it's apolitical, it doesn't reflect on you, but then also you're part of the political apparatus for a political message. That doesn't make sense. You just think people are doing charity and they just want to associate with people randomly? No. No politician does that. They're calculated. So when they did the rounds, it was very effective. It was very effective. And everyone said it was very effective. And everyone said more people should have done that. But then afterwards, they want to be like, there's no association. There's no political message. It's like, what? I didn't even think we were going to talk about this for a long time. But I feel like every time this point about jokes comes up, I get the most retarded defenses of people. It's just like, jokes are just jokes. They can be. They can be. You're right. Doesn't mean it always is.
No, we agree on that. 100%.
And even comics don't think that. Dave Chappelle, we showed in the video, he doesn't think his jokes are just jokes. So I ain't going to get mad at somebody making some joke about fucking George Floyd or MLK or whatever it is. That's weird. People should have the right.